doubts roughly.
So, sorry.
So just I went for the like regarding videos, Madhav. That's it. So that relating programming Java part 1, 2, 3. So like in the YouTube. So I went for those recordings.
This is your number, no? 4697835.
Yeah, it's my number.
Okay, okay. Okay, Rahul. Yeah. So, okay. Okay, Rahul, yesterday's task is done. What I shared you, homework.
No, I'm on it. I'll do it by today, day of the day, end of the day.
Okay. So next we are at, okay. So others are not joining. I don't know actually. They are with you or they are your colleagues or what?
One of them is my friend, and she has a job in this time, so she's not able to join. But since you're recording, share these in the group, and she'll go through them.
Okay, okay. What was? I think she joined previously, right? What was his name? Her name?
Venkat.
Vanker is okay, okay, Vanker. Okay, let's do a second. We have a okay, I'm sharing the screen. Encapsulation inheritance polymorph. Okay, we can see encapsulate inheritance polymer operator overloading constructor this super final static abstract interface. We have seen this much operators. Okay, yesterday access control is remaining and object oriented programming. We start with object oriented programming here. In object and method constructor, this keyword inheritance, we'll see up to this part. Okay, so you have today around at least 30 to 40 codes you have to do. Let's see how much. Okay. OOPS concept. OOPS is object oriented programming. So it consists of inheritance, data binding, and polymorphism. It consists of inheritance, data binding, and polymorphism. Similar is considered the first object OOPS language. Similar is one type of programming language. It was first introduced, and Smalltalk is also consists of object-oriented programming language. The popular object programming language are Java, C has PHP, Python, C++. Okay, these are the popular programming. The main of object-oriented programming is to implement real-world entities, object classes, abstraction, inheritance, and polymorphism. Object classes, abstraction, inheritance, and polymorphism. So, OOPS concept we can see. Objects means a real-world entity such as pen, chair, table, computer, object. It's a methodology or paradigm to design a program using classes and objects. It simplifies software development and maintained by providing some concepts. So objects, class, inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, and encapsulation. Apart from this concept, there are some other terms which are used in object-oriented design is coupling, cohesion, association, aggregation, composition. Just remember these words: coupling, cohesion, association, aggregation, composition. Coupling, cohesion, association, aggregation, and composition. So OOPS consists of, this is just object classes, inheritance, polymorphism, abstraction, and encapsulation. So what is objects? Any entity that has stable and behavior is known as object. Any entity which has a stable and behavior is known as object. For example, a chair, pen, table, keyboards can be physical or logical. An object can be defined as an instance of a class. An object contains an address and takes up some space in memory. An object can be defined as an instance of a class. An object contains as an address and takes up some space in memory. Like everything you can see around yourself, like keyboard, bike, pen, fan, table. Okay, this consists of object. Objects can communicate without knowing the details of each other's data or source. The only necessary thing is the type of message accepted and the type of response required by the object. A dog is an object because it has state like color, name, breed, as well as behavior like wagging the tail, barking, eating, etc. Collection of objects is called class. It is a logical entity. Collection of objects is called class. It is a logical entity. A class can also be defined as a blueprint from which you can create an individual object. Class doesn't consume any space. Class can also be defined as a blueprint from which Class can also be defined as a blueprint from which you can create an individual object. Class doesn't consume any space. Inheritance. When one object acquires all the properties and behaviors of a parent object, when one object acquires all the properties and behavior of a parent object, it is known as inheritance. It provides code reusability. It is used to achieve runtime polymorphism. When one object acquires all the properties and behaviors of a parent object, it is known as inheritance. It provides code reusability. It is used to achieve runtime polymorphism. It is used to achieve runtime polymorphism. So if we say polymorphism, if one task is performed in different ways, it is known as polymorphism. Suppose one task is given and it is performed in different ways, it is known as polymorphism. So we'll come to that. Another is encapsulation. Okay. For example, convince the customer differently to draw something. For example, shape, triangle, rectangle. In Java, we use method overloading and method overriding too. This is a concept. This is here method overloading and overriding. Overloading is here and overriding here. This is polymorphism concepts that you will learn also. Next is abstraction. Hiding internal details and showing functionality. So something you are hiding and showing functionality. It is known as abstraction. Phone call, we don't know the internal processing. Phone calls, we don't know the internal processing. Java use abstract class and interface to achieve abstraction. Abstract class and interface to achieve abstraction. Binding code and data together into a single unit are known as encapsulation. Binding code and data together into a single unit are known as encapsulation. A capsule, it is wrapped with different medicines. Capsule, it is wrapped with different medicines. This is a capsule. You are going to medical store, you are having a capsules. So it is also one type of, you can say, encapsulation. A Java class is example of encapsulation. Java bean is the fully encapsulated class because all the data members are private here. Java bean is the fully encapsulated class because all the data members are private here. Coupling refers to the knowledge or information or dependency of another class. It arises when classes are aware of each other. Coupling refers to the knowledge or information or dependency of another class. It arises when classes are aware of each other. If a class has the details information of another class, there is strong coupling. In Java, we use private, protected, and public modifiers. Like we have a private, protected, and public modifiers to display the visibility level of class, method, and field. You can use interfaces for weaker coupling because there is no concrete implementation. You can use interfaces for the weaker coupling because there is no concrete implementation. Cohesion. Cohesion refers to the level of component which performs a single well-defined task. A single well-defined task is done by a high cohesive method. The weakly cohesive method will split the task into separate parts. We have a java.io package is highly cohesive package because it is a IO related classes and interface. Association is one-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-one, and many-to-many. Association represents the relationship between the objects. Here, one object can be associated with one object or many objects, like one-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-one, and many-to-many. These are the associations. We have an aggregation also, composition also. Aggregation is a way to achieve association. Aggregation represents the relationship where one object contains other objects as a part of the states. It represents the weak relationship between objects. It is also termed as a relationship in Java, like inheritance represents. Is a relationship is another way to reuse objects. Composition. The composition is also a way to achieve association. We can achieve association. The composites represent the relationship where one object contains other objects as a part of its state. There is strong relationship between the containing object and dependent object. It is state where containing object do not have an independent existence. If you delete the parent object, all the child objects will delete automatically. You don't have to worry, this is not going to come. Advantage of OOPS over procedural oriented programming language. What are the advantages? Like, what is a procedural oriented language? Can you tell me the name? Which is a procedural programming you learn? Dinesh, I think Rahul would be aware. Rahul, can you tell me what was a procedural oriented programming language you know?
C.
Yes, yeah. C is procedural programming language. OOPS makes development and maintenance easier, whereas in a procedure-oriented programming language, it's not easy to manage if code grows as project size increases. It's not easy to manage if code grows as project size increases. OOPS provide data binding, hiding, whereas in a procedural-oriented programming language, global data can be accessed from anywhere. Global data can be accessed from anywhere. So we have this global data and you can have this. Data representation is procedural oriented programming. Data representation is procedural oriented programming. And this is object oriented. This is object it is accessing. This is a when you see the exactly code here, you will come to know what is this. Okay, they need to see what we are going to learn here. Java, OOPS concept. Naming convention, objects and classes, overloading, constructor, static keyword, this keyword with 6 usage, inheritance, aggregation, overriding, and method. Remember, method overloading and overriding would be different. Super keyword, instance initializer block, final keyword, abstract class, and abstract interface, runtime polymorphism, static and dynamic binding, downcasting with instance of operator, package, access modifiers, encapsulation, and object cloning. Access modifiers, private, protected, public, encapsulation on object cloning. So we'll see naming convention in Java. Something you are giving name. It is a rule to follow as you what to name your identifier such as class, package, variable, constants, methods. But it is not forced to follow. So it is known as convention, not rule. These conventions are suggested by several Java communities such as Sun Microsystem and Netscape. These are the companies who has invented Java. Sun Microsystem, now Java is acquired by Oracle. Java is acquired by Oracle. All the classes, interfaces, packages, methods, and fields of Java programming language are given according to the Java naming convention. If you fail to follow this convention, it may generate confusion or erroneous codes. It may generate. So advantages of naming convention in Java. By using standard Java naming convention, you make your code easier to read for yourself and other programming. Readability of Java programming is very important. It indicates that less time is spent to figure out what the code does. It indicates that less time is spent to figure out what the code does. Naming convention of the different identifiers: class, interface, method, variable, package, constant. So, what is class? It should start with the uppercase letter. It should be a noun such as color, button, system, thread, etc. Use appropriate word instead of acronym. So, it starts with the uppercase letter. Okay, so you are starting here, public class, my class. So it is starting with the M. You can see here, it is starting with the uppercase letter. Use appropriate words instead of acronyms. Don't give improper name, just use proper name for class. It should start with the uppercase letter, interface, and this name. It should be an adjective such as runnable, remote, action listener. This will come, it is called as when you are doing code things, use appropriate words instead of acronyms. It should start with lowercase letter. It should be a verb such as main, print, and println. If the name contains multiple words, start it with a lowercase letter followed by uppercase letter such as action performed. Class employee void row. This is shown here. Variable. It should start with a lowercase letter such as ID, name. It should not start with a special characters like ampersand, dollar, underscore. If the name contains multiple words, it starts with the lowercase letter followed by an uppercase letter such as first name and last name. Avoid using one character variable such as X, Y, and Z. It should be a lowercase letter such as Java and lang. If the name contains multiple words, it should be separated by dots such as java.util. Or java.lang. Constant. It should be in uppercase letters such as red, yellow. If the name contains multiple words, it should be separated by the underscore such as max underscore priority. It may contain digits but not as first letter. It should be in uppercase letters such as red, yellow. If the name contains multiple words, it should be separated by an underscore such as max underscore priority. It may contain digits but not as the first letter. Constant. You can see here it is fixed. It is in uppercase letter also. Multiple, it should be separated by underscore. So you can see mean underscore age. If it will be separated by this word. It may contain digit but not as a first letter. Even mean underscore age 1, mean underscore age 2, something like that. Camel case. What is camel case? Java followed camel case syntax for naming classes, interface, methods, variables. If the name is combined with two words, second word will start with uppercase letters such as action performed, first name, action event, and action listener. If the name is combined with two words, the second word will start with the uppercase letters always such as action performed, first name, action event, and action listener. Objects and classes in Java. What are objects and classes in Java? This is the main part. We are starting objects and class methods. We will learn about Java objects and classes. In object-oriented programming technique, we design a program using objects and class. An object in Java is physical as well as logical entity. Java is physical, object is physical as well as logical, whereas class is Java is logical. Entity, you might have learned entity. So it is this part it is given. What is object in Java? An entity that has state and behavior is known as an object. An entity that has state and behavior is known as object, like chair, bike, market, pen, table, car. It can be physical or logical. The example of intangible object is banking system. Just remember, Java projects are mostly used in banking system. Object has three characteristics: state, behavior, and identity. State represents the data of an object. Behavior represents the behavior of an object such as deposit, and withdraw. Data, value of an object and identity. Object identity typically implemented via unique ID. The value of the ID is not visible to external user. It is used internally by the JVM to identify object uniquely. Pencil, apple, book, bag, plus. Pen is an object. Its name is Reynolds. Suppose pen is object, name is Reynolds. Color is white, known as state. An object is instance of a class. Class is template. Just remember, class is a template or blueprint. Any language you learn, C sharp or Python or C++. Class is a template or blueprint. This definition is doesn't going to change. From which objects are created. So an object is instance of a class. Object is a instance of you can say result of a class. Object is instant result of a class. An object is a real world entity. An object is a runtime entity. Object is an entity which has state and behavior. An object is an instance of class. Objects is an instance of a class. What is class in Java? A class is a group of objects which has common properties. It is template or blueprint from which objects are created. It is logical entity. It can be physical. Class Java contains fields, methods, constructors, blocks, and nested class and interface. In class in Java, what contains fields, methods, constructors, blocks, nested classes, and interface. Fields, methods, constructors, blocks, and nested class and interface. Are you getting, Dinesh and Rahul? Just type yes or no.
What is fields, constructors, blocks?
Yeah, constructor will come next part. Fields is a like you are defining variables. It is called as fields. Methods you will learn how to define methods, how to call methods. This is just overview. You will learn in depth of this part. Nested classes and interface. So now we are going to practical. Okay, so this is class name, field, and method. You can see here. Instance variable in Java, a variable which is created inside the class, but outside the method is known as instance variable. Instant variable doesn't get memory at compile time. It gets memory at runtime when an object or instance is created. That is why it is known as instance variable. Instance variable gets memory at runtime when an object instance is created. That is why it is known as instance variable. Method in Java. Java method is like a function which is used to expose the behavior of an object. In Java, a method is like a function which is used to expose the behavior of an object. So at code reusability and code optimization. Basically, if you have defined one method at any other class, like suppose Dinesh has created one class and suppose you that other Rahul wants to use. So he can also import that class and it is reusable. New keyword in Java. The new keyword is used to allocate memory at runtime. All objects get memory in heap memory. Where it is stored? Heap memory. Objects and class example main within the class. In this example, we have created a student class which has two data members ID and name. We are creating an object of the student class by new keyword and printing the object's value. We have created a student class which has two data member ID and name. We are creating the object of the student class by new keyword and printing the object's value. So 0 and null. Int ID, new student system s1.id. Suppose ID I am assigning as 40 and name I am giving as MKB. Are you getting? S1 is object. S1.id. You have to access this ID using dot S1.id, S1.a. Suppose if I am defining here also surname equal to are you getting? So you can see here 40, 35, 2022 NQD covered here. Sorry for some disturbance actually guys. Are you getting? Dinesh?
Yeah, yes, Madhav.
Yeah. Rahul?
Yes.
Okay. This is very easy. If you have practice, this much you will able to learn very easily. Okay. Objects and class main outside the class. In real-time development, we create classes and use it from another class. It is a better approach than previous one. Let's see a simple example where we having main method in another class. So main outside the class. This is student class and this is test student one class. But you have defined fields. You are asking fields. These are called as fields. Okay. And this is creation of object and we are accessing this value. In real-time development, we create classes and use it from another class. It is better approach than previous one. Let's see simple example where we are having main method in another class. We can have multiple classes. Just a second. We create classes and use it from another class. It is a better approach than previous one. Let's say simple when we are having main method in another class. Just correct. We have multiple classes in different Java files or single. If you define multiple classes in a single Java source file, it's a good idea to have the file name with the class name which has the main method. Okay, so let me execute this part also. It will give error case student one dot Java. Okay. Yeah, okay. If I can change the name here, that would be fine. Okay. Okay, we'll see this later. Object and main outside the class, it is shown. It might run here. Okay, it is showing 0, and because it is same editor. Sometime editor gets changed, it is giving you error also. So I have to, okay. So this is student, this is student one. Another class, what we are define object of this class, and we are accessing this value. Are you getting? Editors, this is editor and file name should be your test student1.java file. Whatever you are saving, suppose you are coding in Visual Studio or any other, there your file name should be test student1.java. I won't use Visual Studio for Java. I'm trying first time. Let me see if it's wrong, because we have to install Java compiler for this also. Test student1.java. Okay, I already told you. It install twice required. Okay, in Visual Studio, you have to install whatever the code. Suppose it's a py file, so you have to install Python for accordingly. So if you go to source here, you will find this part. Here you find install libraries here. So it's installing language support for Java. If this is get installed, then your code will run properly. JDK or compile your project, you can configure your project with different JDK. So you have to install configure trusted domains. This is installed. Okay, this we'll see later. Ways to initialize object. There are three ways to initialize object in Java: by reference variable, by method, and by constructor. We can initialize object in Java using reference variable, by method, and by constructor. So objects and initialization through reference. What happens exactly? By method or by constructor. So this is our class and this is class. We can using reference variable s1.id, s1.name. This is we are printing members with a white space we have defined. We can also create multiple objects and store information through reference variable. So ID and name we have created. This is, and we are storing here. We are assigning C. We are an s2.name here and we are accessing. This is output through method. This is called method void, and this is method name. This is we are passing the values. Roll number equal to R. This R is coming here, and string N, it is coming here. So whatever we are passing, suppose we are passing triple. Okay, I am just executing for you. Suppose if I find here finish Rahul. Okay.